Hello everyone, my name is Sarah Ironisa, and today I want to take you on a journey into one of the most fascinating pieces of Indonesia heritage, a place that literally comes from my own hometown. The topic I have chosen is Batik Pekalongan, a traditional textile art so significant that in 2014, Pekalongan was officially named a World City of Batik and joined the UNESCO Creative Cities Network. The people think of batik when often imagine a single genetic pattern, but what most international audience don't realize is that batik is not one culture. It's dozens of regional traditions, each with its own history, color palette, and philosophy. And Pekalongan batik is one of the most distinctive of them all. By the end of this video, I hope you will not only recognize Pekalongan batik when you see it, but also understand why it matters so deeply to the people who make it, including my own communities. To understand Pekalongan batik, you need to understand Pekalongan itself. My city sits on the north coast of Java, along one of the busiest trade routes in Southeast Asia history. For context, this coastline welcomed trades and settles from China, Arabia, India, and later the Netherlands. Unlike the batik from inland royal cities like Solo and Yogyakarta, where the art form developed inside place walls tied to strict current rules, Pekalongan batik grew up in street, harbors, and home of ordinary coastal families. It absorbed influence from every culture that passed through. Chinese immigrant brought motifs like the pornic and peony flowers. Arab trades influenced curtain geometric and calligraphic pattern. Dutch colonists and even Dutch and Eurasian batik interpreters introduced European floral bouquet during the colonial period. This is why Pekalongan batik is often called batik pesisir or coastal batik, visual record of conquest and cultural exchange made by ordinary artisans rather than place nobility. Historically, batik making in Pekalongan was not just art, it was a survival. Many families, especially women, made batik as a home-based business passed down from mother to daughter. When today, if you walk through curtain neighbors in Pekalongan, you will still hear the unique tapping of the chanting, the traditional wax, draw pen, and coming from inside people's homes. It's not just a museum piece here, it's a living industry that still employs thousands of local families. Batik Pekalongan represents several values that are deeply important in Indonesia culture. First, passion and dedication. Making batik tulis or hand-down batik can take anywhere from several days to several months for one piece of clothes. Every line is drawn by hand using hot wax before dyeing. They teach us a value we hold highly in Japanese culture, that beautiful things cannot be rushed. And second, harmony and openness. Because Pekalongan batik freely blend Chinese, Arabic, Indian, and Europe motif into one cloth, it reflects a very Indonesian idea that different cultures can live together on the same fabric without losing their individual beauty. This mirrors our national motto Bhinneka Tunggal Ika. And then third, identity and community pride. In Pekalongan, batik is not just clothing, it's identity. It's worn at weddings, religion ceremonies, and formal events. Producing and wearing batik is a way of saying, I carry my ancestors' skill and hometown history with me. There are a few common misunderstandings I'd like to clear up. First, many foreigners assume all batik is the same, or that is simply a print fashion pattern you can buy anywhere. In reality, there is a hug difference between batik tulis and batik cap, and printed textile, which is not traditional batik at all. Assuming they are all equal can unintentionally disrespect the artisans who spend weeks on a single hand-drawn piece. Second, some visitors think batik is only for older generation or formal ceremonies, like a custom rather than daily wear. In truth, many young Indonesians, including my own friends, wear modern batik-inspired fashion casually, and batik has become part of contemporary sweatwear and even business attire. But foreigners sometimes assume batik making is purely decorative art with no deeper meaning, but for many Pekalongan families, each motif has a story or symbolic function tied of life events. Batik Pekalongan matters to me on a very personal level. I grew up seeing batik not as a cultural artifact in museum, but as something worn by my mother, by my neighbor, and my teachers on ordinary days. Represents where I come from, a hostile city shaped by countries of people arriving from elsewhere and clothing to belong here. As an English education student, I also feel a responsibility to help the world see batik correctly, not as a genetic souvenir print, but as a craft carrying real human labor, family history, and cross-cultural dialogue that started long before globalization became a popular word. I believe understanding something as specific as Pekalongan batik teach a bigger lesson that culture is rarely pure, is shaped by consent, trade, and change and exchange, and that mixing rather than diluting our culture can actually make it richer. That is why I choose to introduce you batik from my hometown today. So thank you so much for joining me on this short journey into Pekalongan batik traditions. I hope that next time you see page of batik, either in a shop, in a museum, or worn at event, you will remember the passion, the history, and the community behind every single line of wax.